going to dive into something that keeps CISOs and business leaders up at night, the real cost of a cyber attack, but not just the scare tactics. We're going to walk through how to actually quantify that risk, and more importantly, how to tie it to business ROI. So quickly about me, I was a technical program manager at Meta for several years, where I led a back-end infrastructure program that supported Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram and helped data, product, and AI engineering orgs enhance their productivity through tooling, Gen AI, automation. Now at Sekion, I lead product strategy,
Recording in progress.
our global marketing team. I'm really focused on aligning our platform's power with real partner and customer needs and driving data-driven solutions that enhance growth and efficiency. I'm also currently pursuing my MBA at MIT Sloan School of Management, focused on innovation and entrepreneurship. So basically, I love building, especially building at the intersection of security, scale, and creative customer storytelling. So I'm really happy to be here today and grateful that all of you have joined us from around the globe. So like Maggie and Smith and all of those before me have mentioned, cyber risk isn't just an IT problem anymore. It's a boardroom issue. 85% of breaches still involve human error, and the average breach now costs companies over $4 million. That's not just tech downtime, that's lost revenue, lost trust, long-term brand damage. And when something goes wrong, it impacts every part of the business, as you guys know. That's why we need to measure risk, not just in technical terms, but in business terms. We have a poll question as well, which I hope will be put up while we're going through the presentation. So when you have a second, go ahead and answer. When we talk about cyber attacks, the first thing that comes to mind is usually stolen data or maybe a ransomware payment. But the reality is the costs run much deeper. Let's break down what happens financially when a breach occurs. We bucket costs into two categories, essentially, direct costs and indirect. And on the surface, yes, there are direct hits like data loss and ransom demands and regulatory fines, but under the surface, the indirect costs can be even more damaging. So operational downtime halts your business, your brand takes a hit, and in many cases, customers leave. And put yourself in your customer's shoes. Would you stick around after hearing your personal data might have been stolen? So yeah, on paper, breach might cost 4 to 5 million, but in reality, the long-term loss in revenue and reputation can be far higher. That's why it's not enough to just react to attacks. We need to understand their true end-to-end financial, their business impact. And this slide is where I'm going to take you from gut feelings to actual numbers. Did you know that risk isn't just a buzzword? It's a formula. And this is the formula I want you to remember. Cyber risk equals threat times vulnerability times impact. And let's take a mid-sized financial firm as an example. So there's a 30% chance of a ransomware attack this year on a mid-sized financial firm based on industry-wide threat data. Their vulnerability posture is high. Let's say, for example, 60% exposure due to patch delays or misconfigurations. And the potential impact, around $3 million, considering downtime, legal fees, customer loss. So when we plug that into the formula I gave you above, 0.3 times 0.6 times $3 million, that's 540K. That means just from one type of attack, this company has an expected loss of over $500,000 annually. That is how we quantify what used to be hypothetical. And it's funny that the second you put a dollar figure in front of people, risk suddenly feels like something you can budget for, monitor for, and talk about. People want to listen. So let's turn that formula I just gave you into established metrics. Cyber risk quantification, or CRQ, lets us run different models depending on what data you have access to. So first up, single loss expectancy, or SLE. This tells us how much one incident would cost. So if an asset is worth $2 million, so that's your customer database. Let's say that's worth $2 million. And think of 70% of it could be impacted in one attack. So your SLE is $2 million times 0.7, so that's the 70%, and that equals 1.4 million. Now, where does that 70% come from? It's not random. This is called the exposure factor. And it reflects how much of the asset we would expect to be compromised if an attack succeeds. In this case, if a database isn't segmented or encrypted, or access controls are weak, 70% exposure is a conservative but realistic estimate based on typical ransomware or exfiltration attacks. Now we consider annualized rate of occurrence, so ARO. If this type of attack, the one I just mentioned, happens once every 5 years, our ARO, so 1 over 5, is 0.2. I hope you're still with me, and don't worry, the difficult math is almost over. So if I multiply now my SLE times the ARO, so the 1.4 million times the zero point 0.2 I just talked about, I get the ALE, the annualized loss expectancy. So this means that even if the breach happens once in 5 years, it costs 280K annually in expected loss. So if I look at now the entire impact together, I want you to take a look at this last slide again, where we looked at our mid-sized financial firm. Our total impact dollar amount was $3 million, right? And the generalized actuarial modeling used by cyber insurers, frameworks like FAIR, right? They've told us that, like I mentioned here, there's a 30% chance of a $3 million loss. So that's that threat factor, the threat exposure factor of 30%. This matches our ransomware scenario I just showed you in the last slide. That gives us an ELV, or an expected loss value of $900,000. So now, with these numbers in hand, you're no longer guessing, you're budgeting, you're strategizing, you're speaking the board's language. And I want to assure you that these aren't just academic models. Yes, I'm doing my MBA and taking finance classes, but these numbers aren't here to scare you. These are real simple ways to turn cyber risk into a language that your CFO understands the value of. Again, this isn't about fear, it's about putting a number on risk so leadership can make informed decisions. That's the power of CRQ. So now I'm going to show you one of the best and most comprehensive comparisons our incredible research team, using the power of AI, has also put together on pricing. And we've talked about the cost of doing nothing. Let's shift to the value of doing something really smart. And this comparison lays it out very clearly. So on the left in this table, we have Secion's all-in-one open threat management platform. Everyone before me has talked about how great it is, all of our different products, the functionality of those products. In the middle column, you're seeing that, which specific modules they're included in. And then on the right, a typical best-of-breed stack that most companies are using, piecing together Splunk, CrowdStrike, Cortex, everyone you can potentially name. So if you total up licensing and staffing for an 1,000-user org, so I want you to make an assumption that the organization size is 1,000 users. So if you total up licensing and staffing at that org, the Sekion model comes in at around 500K per year, potentially even less. The alternative stack, over $1 million annually. And this isn't just about cost, though. I don't want you to just look at this and think it's all about cost. I'm going to show you it's not just about cost in the next few slides, but it's also about complexity. With Sekion, like Smith and Chandra and everyone else mentioned, you have a unified platform, one interface, your analysts needed. With the fragmented stack, you're managing alerts across multiple systems, duplicating effort, burning out your SOC. So the bottom line here is that with Sekion, you're not just reducing spend, you're increasing efficiency, cutting alert fatigue, and accelerating your time to response, which directly protects your bottom line. So now let's put that value into numbers. Let's say your organization is facing an expected annual loss of 750K. Based on the risk exposure modules we just went through, it's the mid-sized financial firm again. And then after deploying Sekion with their AI SIEM, AI SOAR, AI XDR, all working in sync, we've reduced that exposure by 80%, bringing it down to 150K. That's 600K in risk reduction. Now compare that to the total cost of the platform, 500K in that last slide I just showed you, including software, staffing, operations. That gives you a 20% ROI in year one when you factor in intangible benefits like less downtime, stronger audit posture, enhanced brand trust. The real return is even higher than that 20%. So when a CISO goes into the board asking for investment, this is the math that justifies the budget. You're not just securing the company, you're protecting the business. But let's be honest here. I want you to be equipped with all possible scenarios. Being a CISO is hard, and the average enterprise has 50 plus security tools. They all generate alerts, they don't always talk to each other, and they leave you with silos. Meanwhile, different teams, IT, GRC, everyone's reporting risk differently. You're stuck trying to reconcile dashboards instead of driving strategy, doing the work that you should be. And when the board asks, how secure are we? You don't need to show them, hey, look, these are more alerts. You need a clear financial translation of risk into business language, and that's most the gaps that the CISOs are facing. But it's exactly what we've built Sekion to solve. Like I mentioned, outcome-driven security, metric-driven security. Now is the future. And Sekion changes the game by aligning operations with outcomes. With our open threat management platform, you get a unified AI SIEM, SOAR, EDR, NDR, Yuba, all in one system, like Smith, Chandra, everyone before me mentioned. It detects threats in real time, correlates signals across your environment, automatically responds, reducing manual triage, and most importantly, it ties those actions to business value. It shows how much risk you've averted, where you've improved compliance, how much time and cost you're saving. So now, when your board asks, what did our cybersecurity program do for us this quarter? You have an answer. And now I'm showing you maybe another one of the most comprehensive slides we've made thus far that helps our platform user you understand which specific metrics, which specific KPIs can be found where in which module in our platform. And we're going to actually be posting out a comprehensive data sheet that has all this information on our social media, on our website, on our support portal. So don't worry if we don't have this. It will be posted very, very soon. But from the detection and response angle, MTTR, MTTD, you got those in AI SIEM and AI XDR. To risk and reduction metrics and risk score trends, you got those in Security Score 360. Governance and compliance, compliance scores, audit pass rates. Again, Security Score 360, BI 360, they give you those KPIs through reporting. Financial, and then looking at financial impact, SOC automation and savings. You see those in AI SOAR. This is a comprehensive platform with 7 to 8 modules, products essentially, that are tracking virtually every single KPI that you can think of. This is where you can go into the boardroom, flip the screen around to your board when they ask you that question. I mentioned earlier, what is this program doing for us? This is what you show them. This is your proof of performance. All right, I'm going to end with this. Here's the bottom line. You can't protect what you can't measure, and you can't justify what you can't quantify. Cyber risk quantification and ROI modeling aren't just buzzwords, they're your best defense in the boardroom. They turn security from a technical conversation into a business critical one. And that's exactly what Sekion is built for, a platform that unifies your tools, translate your risk into business language, and helps you lead with confidence. And this is how you essentially shift the narrative from chasing alerts to proving real value with those dollar amounts and with those KPIs and metrics. So if you remember just one thing from this session today, let it be this. Don't just talk about threats, start leading with the business impact, and don't just defend your network. It's really important that you're defending your bottom line. And you can do all of that with cyber risk quantification and with Sekion's OTM platform. Thank you. If you have any questions, reach out to your account managers, our customer success team, reach out to me for marketing and partnerships. We're always here to support you. And thank you again, everyone, for your time. Stay tuned over the next 3 days for more helpful sessions like this one. And as a reminder, like everyone said, these sessions are recorded and the certification test will be done on the last day.
Thank you so much for that,
Recording
Shika.
stopped.
So coming up next, I really like the part about the formulas too. Just having it so clearly laid out is really, really handy when it comes to justifying, the cost to your board later. So coming up next, we have Cloud Security Reimagined, Seaguard Innovations, Competitive Edge, and Live Demo. That's going to be with Abhishek Tripathi and Kartik Sana, who will show how Sekion's cloud native capabilities are evolving, what sets Seaguard apart in both innovation and execution. So this will also be a live demo included. So as always, please enter your questions into the Q&A panel. Remember, all sessions from today will be available for recording later, and there will be the certification at the end.
Okay, thank you, Maggie. Hello and welcome
Recording in
everyone.
progress.
It's a pleasure to have attendees around the world joining us today. Whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening on your side, thank you for being here. I'll be presenting today session about the cloud security. So let me bring up my screen first. Perfect. So I expect that you can see my screen. Let me drag the tools at the right place so that there is no glitches meanwhile. Okay, so today I'll be talking about the Seaguard, which is a kind of cloud security reimagined through AI-driven innovation. Okay, so before we start, I'm going to talk about some of the facts about the cloud security. So let's start. What are the kind of challenges we have in the cloud security? So if I have to use one liner, I can just say that evolving threat landscapes and of course the cloud first risk explosion also is coming another thing, right? That is causing a kind of evolving threat landscape in the cloud, and that's causing the cloud workload as a very vulnerable to the security and all those things, right? So some of the market realities are currently a lot numbers of things are getting uh, increasing kind of number of the businesses and adopting a cloud first strategy. Like every organization is trying to just be the cloud first strategy because a lot of SaaS and everything is coming out of the cloud. There is a kind of growing revenue from 42 billions to 175 billion in 2023, 2035. So it's a kind of almost a CAGR of 13.86, right? Over 80% of the enterprise expected to use multi-cloud setup by this year, end of this year. 45% of the breaches are cloud-based, and 75% of organizations experience multi-cloud security exposure. 61% of organizations suffered cloud security incident in past years. 21% resulted in unauthorized access to sensitive data. And also another eye openers are kind of more than 35 businesses are cloud native, and with 75% of software delivered via SaaS. And cloud identity workload and SaaS endpoints are new attack surface by the legacy sensors, right? All these market reality I have collected through the various sources, including Gartner and Market and Markets, and there are many more. These are just a kind of some pointers you can think of is kind of right now going in the cloud, and especially in the cloud security world. These are the data I don't consume every day, but when we think about the cloud security and I wanted to know that where the cloud security goes, I spent some times and found these kinds of data in the cloud security, right? Now, if it's kind of for some of the peoples is too much to consume or kind of TLDR, let me simplify in the kind of little bit in technical ways, which kind of I boil down to technical, which is I understand better. So the key challenges, what are the key challenges right now in the cloud security world, right? First of all, the complex multi-cloud environment. Everyone, like as I said in the previous slide, that a lot of growing organizations are getting their foot in the multi-cloud environments. Identity-driven attack vectors. In the cloud, mostly it's identity-driven attacks vectors are there. Real-time threat detection gaps, manual security operations. People are kind of having multi-cloud environments and everything is manual, right? And some of the silos they have, they're kind of, again, they are kind of manually correlating and doing their stuff all manual. And of course, the fragmented security, which is nothing but the silos. And as in the previous session, there was like almost 50 different solutions they have for their securities, right? So these are the key challenges securing organization cloud postures, cloud security, right? Some of the operational challenges I kind of boil down that the complex onboarding, like suppose if you have a cloud and you have a lot of applications and a lot of the cloud SaaS you're using, there's a complex onboarding. It cannot be finished. It takes a lot of time to even finish all the onboarding, and some of them are still not onboarded. Scaling difficulties, multi-cloud complexities we talked about, right? And of course, the manual heavy lifting. These are the operational challenges are present for an organization who is kind of want to secure their the cloud infra. And that's where we come up with the CGuard. Now, what is CGuard? Some of you may be already familiar with the cloud security, and some of you might be hearing first time. So cloud security, sorry, AI SIEM CGuard, it's kind of like a special offering by Sekion for the cloud security, which is a kind of SaaS-powered CDR, CSPM, SSPM, and CWP-enabled platform. It eliminates the traditional onboarding complexities. If you have experienced the onboarding of the cloud infra, you must have noticed that log to the multiple cloud and get this token, get that permission. There is a lot of complexity involved there. It's not easy for administrator to get the onboarding done with the minimal effort. It's complicated. I'm sure that uh, most of you understand that. Um, Built for the dynamic identity-driven nature for the cloud threats, designed with the MSSP first strategy and enterprise friendly, because um, there are a lot of kind of small organizations where which are managed by the MSSP. So our CGuard is specifically designed keeping the MSSP first strategy, and then also we have the enterprise friendly interface also, which many of the competition doesn't have it. Again, CGuard is fully SaaS. As a end customer, as a MSSP, you don't have to worry about the hardware or local character requires. You don't have to worry about anything. You just need to have the right person or person with the right access to your cloud environment. You're all good. Everything will be taken care by the CGuard infra itself. What are the key differentiator we talk about the CGuard? So again, zero policy, zero credentials, right? One time you just onboard it, and after that you're all set. The onboarding happens in minutes, not in even days, right? Earlier, um, there's a lot of ways, like if you know the traditional way of onboarding, you have to set up the collector, you have to bring up a VM or server and all those things. Those things are kind of totally not required if you have a cloud environment. We can kind of do that onboarding in minutes. API first architecture. What that means is that CGuard is kind of designed for the environment where API can be kind of used to fetch the data and all those things. That's where it excel. Of course, it's multi-tenant, multi-cloud, which is kind of another factor which comes is CloudX, which is we call it the cloud version of the CCEs, which is especially designed for the design with the API first architecture, and it kind of highly scalable, and it can hold a lot of users and a lot of tenants on a single CloudX environment. So these things were not about the kind of CGuard in a nutshell. CGuard, like on the detection side, CGuard has to offer a kind of lot of the detection capabilities, which is kind of include UEBA, identity aware anomaly detections. Now, I just said in the beginning that in the cloud security, mostly things are even the identity aware things. So we are kind of looking at the identities, and we are kind of analyzing the behaviors, and we are looking at the geographical and temporal behavior, who is having what and what is the timeline and everything. And of course, the privilege escalation is one of the important thing is that people get access, uh, people kind of supposed to do something, and they are not doing, and all those kinds of things we analyze, and through the behavior analytics we detect those things. One of the another important thing is that multi-event correlation. Many of the players in the cloud security world, they do not offer multi-event correlation because they just like purely rule-based. If some login is happening, you have to do this actions and those things. But we are the one of the uh, top one who kind of offer the multi-event correlation. Not many does, where you can correlate the events across multi-cloud as well as in a cloud. For example, if you're having the Azure, you can correlate multiple threats indicator from your Azure itself. Or if you have a multi-cloud, you can also correlate. For example, if you have the Azure and you are using some kinds of application, for example, Office 365, or if you have uh, some kinds of code repository and all those things, so all those events you can correlate together. We have a kind of built-in threat model, which is a kind of DEG powered, which is kind of we have like a graph modeling there that okay, if user is logging, what he's doing and where it's going, all those things are being tracked, and based on that, um, we also monitor the threats, and for that you don't have to do anything. If you are interested and you wanted to make your own set of rules or own set of correlation, excuse me, we have brought that functionality too. So you can also do the correlation yourself. You can create your rules. So it's pretty much a um, open box from that sense. Still, we are having our built-in threat models, which is DEC powered. And of course, the cross time and cross IP, cross user correlations are kind of is a kind of obvious things. You can always go and do that. And also one of the important thing to talk about here is the MITRE ATT&CK integration. um, Most of the kind of threat researchers or most of the SOC person, they're kind of very familiar with the MITRE ATT&CK integration. So we are also having our things aligned with the MITRE ATT&CK. So you can have the TTP first detection approach. You can have a kind of kill chain of things being presented. You can understand from there. And of course, with all those things, as a MITRE ATT&CK, um, um, the groups and all those things keep growing, we also keep enriching our threat models accordingly. CGuard come up with some of the supercharged feature set, which is kind of like some of the product offerings we already talked about, and some of them we are going to talk about. But I'm sure that you have some glimpse about that. CGuard uses AI XDR PMAX, which is a kind of, you had a previous session, it's kind of combine EDR and EPP capabilities, and it's very cool and it's very capable of protecting your endpoint. It's AI powered. Score 360, again, you had a kind of glimpse of it. Quantitative risk scoring, security posture assessment, based prioritizations. All these feature set comes preloaded. You don't have to click a single button to enable or to do anything. As soon as you onboard in the CGuard, all these listed features get enabled by default. Zero click, zero policies. Another item in the list is Sera AI. I'm sure that nowadays AI is kind of being very trendy in terms of multiple things from you making your SOC life easy, including the detections also. So Sera AI is being also enabled on the CGuard by default, and of course the SOAR. SOAR offers you that if you have some kind of custom requirement or some kinds of custom things you wanted to do, you can utilize the SOAR that is already enabled. So these powerful things are already included as a CGuard offering. Um, so where is the kind of where we focus on the CGuard? Our focus on the CGuard, which is a kind of cloud security mainly. So our focus is kind of at the first security, and we look at the kind of anonymous sign-in detection. We look at the privilege rules monitoring, and of course the federated identity misuse detection. So basically, in the cloud world, if the users are secure, there are some other vectors available there, but at least we have a kind of place where we kind of have the base mark done, and then from there we can monitor the rest of the things. But that's where our focus is. Identity first is the security, and also we are utilizing our platform for the CSPM and CWPP integration, cloud security posture management, and cloud workload protection platform. So all these things are being offered in the CGuard. Okay, so how do we integrate, right? CGuard is all about getting all your cloud or SaaS data ingested to our system, or in fact, I should say, fetched by our system. So we have a kind of seamless integrations with all your cloud. I will say not all, maybe top your cloud application, and we are continuously adding more and more support. So as of now, we have the kind of Microsoft cloud integrations. Like in the Microsoft Azure is kind of within 2 3 minutes you'll be all onboarded, and all matrices requires will be faced. Now we have also added support where we are not only reading your data, we are asking permissions to write the data where we can perform the remediations. Like if something is happening, your Azure AD or Intra ID supports. If some users are found to be malicious or compromised, we can always system can always take actions to block them. And of course, Office 365 security is kind of one of the top things we do in the Azure first. Um, we are getting multi-cloud ready, so at least as of now, Azure, AWS, and GCP natively supported. GCP coming in this quarter, but AWS and Azure is already live. All the other things, Intune One, Okta, and Google Workspace is also kind of supported, but requires some kinds of config. You have to have the right way of doing the setup, so that multi-cloud setup is ready here. Also, we are expanding our ecosystem. So as of now, 50 plus clouds are connector supported. Continuous platform additions we are doing. Recently, we have added uh, one of the powerful features where you can have your incident response module defined by yourself, which is kind of multi-rule correlation. You can define your own custom rules. Um, and of course, all these kinds of having the API first integration, as soon as your vendors or your cloud or SaaS vendor is supporting the API, we are good. We can also add some of the custom things. So that's where we make a difference. That it's like our system is kind of, especially CGuard is kind of designed such a way that if any thing supports the API, we are good to scale and we are good to integrate. So behind the CGuard, one of the things we have developed and working day and night is the CloudX. This is a kind of power of the CGuard, which kind of goes to all cloud, multi-cloud, and constantly get the data, pull the data, and that's where we do a kind of lots of uh, threat enrichment and correlations and everything before it comes to our platform. The CloudX can kind of handle 50,000 plus users seamlessly. It's a kind of future proof. It can scale up. Again, it's a multi-tenant architecture, and it can grow beyond that. Again, it's like highly available. It's like one of the system goes down, it can be taken care by the other system. And also we have optimized the data pulling from the cloud so that your cloud environment is not seeing a lot of traffic coming and going between the CloudX and then the AWS or whatever the cloud is. We have optimized that with the way we are pulling, the way we are keeping a kind of local bookmark or in fact bookkeeping, sorry for that, so that we can optimize data pool. So that's where we CloudX comes in the picture. Again, all those automation and everything is there. And again, this is kind of not a you don't need to have a kind of single piece of hardware for this one. This is all kind of in the Sekian SaaS, and literally you will not realize where the CloudX is working. But this is a kind of beast who is kind of doing all heavy lifting. Okay, so this was a kind of some detail about the cloud CGuard, AI SIEM CGuard. Now we trying to kind of I'm trying to show you the comparison with the CGuard and some of the market leaders, and why these answers matter. Again, we are benchmarking our platform against that market leaders to understand our market position, as well as to give you kind of understanding that where the CGuard understand. You must have heard the some of the industry leaders, and basically you'll be able to correlate more. And all these data source we got from the various GenAI's platform to make sure that our understanding and our all the details which we are comparing with is accurate. So we have utilized the platforms there, GenAI platforms to pull the data. And again, goal of this comparison is to just highlight our strength, of course, and pinpoint improvement areas and define strategic advantage for you so that you understand that where CGuard going and where the future is. So here is a kind of a matrix of kind of CGuard versus Wiz, Prisma Cloud, Guard Duty. Guard Duty is kind of AWS offering. As some of you have heard, may have heard the SaaS alert. So I'm going to read, but I will not read all of them. Just I will compare the CGuard and Wiz. But meanwhile, you guys can also keep an eyes on the other three in interest of time. So multi-event correlation, that's we talked about. We have the only multi-event correlations available, and rest of them are kind of somewhere they are kind of throttling. They are not allowing you to do the full multi-correlations. We have experienced those cases. We have been in that situations where we are solving the customer problems, and those multi-correlations are not there among any of them. Identity threat detections, we do the UBA and IDR, but others kind of do very limited or very kind of very logged that it doesn't kind of adds much values there. Real-time analysis, we do the kind of streaming detections, and we try to be closing to as real as time possible, but others do in the batches, maybe every day or maybe every 6 hours or so. Integrated response, we have our built-in IR response, which is kind of we can think as a kind of SOAR light, which does not need a kind of you to have the expertise of understanding the SOAR and defining the source. It solves your problem, and then you can define your own incident response, and then action. SaaS plus cloud posture, again, we are doing SSPM and CSPM, and some of the other also are doing. So this is kind of where we have to catch up a little bit, but some of the other things are also doing. MITRE mapping. MITRE mapping is the one of the our best one. Rest of them are even they're not doing MITRE mapping, or some of them are kind of doing the partial runtime coverage. So MITRE mapping is kind of very accurate, and we focus on our TTP based threat hunting and all, threat detections and all. Threat intelligence, we are using various sources for threat intelligence, and we are leveraging those things to detect the threat, and also the detections and customization. We are fully customizable. If you have something to be customized in case of incident response anywhere, we can customize. but others are kind of very tightly integrated and very logged. So not most of them you cannot customize, and we have some stories that even those requests are unheard. If you go them and just like even ask some of the customizations thing, you will not get heard. So these are kind of a quick comparison with the top cloud security vendors in the market. Um, so with this, where we are going with the CGuard, right? So industry trends are saying is that 63% of security professionals believe AI enhances security, particularly in the threat detections, cloud adoption, and AI is offering significant SIEM evaluation, and of course the entire industry is relying on AI and ML for the threat detection in 2025, and that's our goal. Is we are kind of bringing our Sera AI to the picture, and we are kind of utilizing the Gen AI for the security detections wherever possible. But not to forget, we already had the AI things in our core and in our base since day one. So that's where the cloud security trends are going. And also we are having the cloud native designs meet multi-cloud reality and automated operations and identity centric approach. So that's where we are positions, and we are planning to go. Um, Onboarding and implementation roadmap. Say, for example, if you wanted to just onboard on the CGuard, what is going to be your path? So again, phase one, which is rapid deployment, in the week one, you can onboard in the on the CGuard within 5 minutes. Cloud connector activation, that's happen instantly. You don't have to worry about that. Initial data ingestion, that's again happen instantly. You don't have to worry about. And basic monitoring enable that. Okay, who all my users are, what they're doing, from where they're logging, and all kinds of monitoring enablement happen instantly. Nothing to worry about. So that happened within 5 minutes of the week one. Now, rest of the time you can utilize, which is in the week one, week two, to integrate with your existing tools. If you have some custom tools and all those things, you can work with that. You can look into our add-on store that whether the support is there, and then you can start integrating with this. And also you can have your team to be trained, and they can work on the adopting that things. And don't forget to utilize the SEDA, because that's kind of going to help not only to analyze the threats and helping you as a SOC. It also help you to understand that what and how you can do some of the operations in the product, and where to find those things. And of course, the custom rules development SOAR workflow is optional, but those are things you can do in your 1 to 2 weeks. Optimization, which is will be going on. The AI model refinement and continuous improvement, that's kind of always we are on top of it, and it's always a continuous process. And additional cloud platforms and advanced analytics deployment, these things are uh, ongoing and keep moving on. Okay, so with that, we are pretty much done here with the CGuard. Now we are going to demonstrate all those things which we talk about. In the demo, we'll be talking about how you can onboard quickly. That's you can see that's happened within a couple of minutes. And few takeaway from this presentation is that again, the CGuard 5-minute cloud security deployment, AI powered threat detections at scale, and zero infrastructure overhead. As a MSSP or as a end customer, you don't have to worry about the infrastructure overload. And of course, this is future-proof security architecture. So we are going to keep up with the industry or security world, and that's the kind of assurance we have with the CGuard. Okay, so let's get into our demo. Ashwini?
Yeah, Abhishek, thank you so much. So, hello everyone. thank you for taking your time to be here today. And my name is Ashwini, and I will be uh, giving the demo of the CGuard onboarding process and the CDR module, which Abhishek talked about, that incident response and everything. So let me just share my screen. My screen visible, right? Okay. So guys, I'm here at one of the development environment, which is just a replica of our hosted CGuard server. So this is the main sign up page which will
Ashwini,
be
your
seeing
screens are
on.
not visible. Ashwini, your
It
screens
is
are
not.
visible.
I
Let
think
me stop
yes.
it.
Okay.
Okay. So I need to stop. Okay. I see two screens. Who's the other screen? Okay. Go ahead. So now it's very good.
Okay. So as you can see, this is just the basic sign up page which we are seeing here. So I just need to click on the. If you are just onboarding for the first time, you need to click on this set up a new account. And if you are already onboarded, you need to sign in your existing account here. So I'll be just showing the onboarding process. Then yeah. So this is just a basic form which is asking just the basic details for the onboarding process, and just fill it up. So I'm just onboarding with internal. My on Azure account is second.chat. Then my organization is Sikhan IC. I'll be onboarding as MSSP. You can either choose as MSSP or enterprises based on your preferences, and the country, and then the captcha. So what is it? Just refresh it. Yeah. So 59 and L. So once you have filled them, just agree to the terms and conditions and privacy policy we have, and verify the captcha which you have entered, and then just click on the sign up. So what this says that it has sent an email to this account which you have entered with the link for the to complete the onboarding process, right? So I'll be just heading over to my inbox, and here you can see I got an email saying that hi Sikhan internal, which I have filled in the sign up form. We are thrilled to have you on board as part of Sikhan. This, and there is a link for the complete the sign up process, right? So I'll be just clicking on this. Looks like I was just logged in. So as you can see, it says welcome back Sikhan, and to complete the sign up process, we just need to click on this button with sign up with Microsoft. Once I click on this button, it will just start the onboarding process for me. I'm going to just click on this. So if you are familiar with our CGuard onboarding process, or you have attended the previous sessions we have on this, you can see we have did some graphical improvement on this screen, as well as we have added few more options. As you can see, first step will be grant permission for the read-only access, which is basically you can read all the permissions we are asking for. This is just a read-only access. We are going to read your data to ingest in a platform and do the correlation and all, generate the events. You can see your user count, your Outlook events, everything you can see, right? So in order to just ingest the data, I just needed to authorize with my what do you call it, uh, admin user account, right? So I'm just going to click on that, and it is again will ask me what the permission I have requested, the Sikhan is requesting. You can see and read all the permissions we are just requesting here, right? So I'm just going to accept that. And I just wanted to talk about till this point. I have already onboarded myself. A tenant has been created, and automated script has been created to pull the data from your cloud, right? All these things has been done in the background. So another, if you just see on the second step, it is asking to grant remediation permissions. So as Abhishek talked, like we also supporting now the remediation actions in your like incident response part of the CDR module. So if you want to just provide us the permissions to write back in your Azure account, like we needed to, if you want to do the take the remediations action, like you wanted to, based on some incident response, you wanted to block a user or just enforce the MFA, or you wanted to revoke all the sessions they are logged in. So just we will be needing the remediations permissions as well, right? So just keep this in mind. I will just come back to this part later. Okay. And okay, so I think someone was talking. So you can also register, update your registered domain, what we have uh, gathered from your email, what you have provided in the sign up form. If you wanted to, this will be used for your AI security score 360 scanning and cyber posture scan, right? If you wanted to use some another domain, you can always go and change it and update it. You if you want to upload some logo of your branding for your branding purposes, you can also go ahead and update. And then again, if you wanted to invite some of your colleagues to to use the platform, then you can also put in the username here, and just for the role you wanted to invite them, be it as an admin, user, or viewer, you can also do that, right? So I just authorized my permission. I will come to this part later, and I'm just finished here. So I'm just going to click on this finish setup button. So as you can see, uh, I have onboarded myself as an MSSP, and a tenant has already been created for me. I'm just going to log into the tenant. Yes. So I'm already logged in, and the data is being flowed in. We'll show you just in a few minutes. And I'll be talking about this or CDR module, which is Cloud Security and Detection Response. So I'll just be logging out from this screen. I just needed some data. So I have just onboarded under domain of Sicyon. So I'm just logging out and logging with my main admin account. So as you can see, I have logged in as an MTMT admin user. I have already onboarded this Sicyon INC, which I have just onboarded. And this Sicyon AI, I have already onboarded few minutes later before the presentation. So this it has already started flowing in the data. Right. So as you can see, it's just been, I think, 15 minutes or so I have onboarded this tenant, and it has already, uh, you know, data has been started flowing in. And now I think I'm just going to talk about the detection rule and response, which Abhishek has talked about in his presentation. So as you can see, we got, this is I think 137 of the default rules we are providing out of the box. Few of them are from Microsoft and few of them for the AWS, as you can see here. So let's talk about what this detection rule is. So basically, as you know, we have, if you wanted to, generate some events based on your query or your preference or your rule, you wanted to create some rules. If those rules gets triggered and it finds some data in the open search from your, which has been ingested from your cloud, and you wanted to raise some uh, threat indicators based on that. So you just we already providing few of them out of the box, but if you still wanted to create your own, you can just go ahead and click on this create rule button. Just name it maybe some paste rule. You can put some description here, and then now since I'm on the MSSP, it is asking if I wanted to just apply to this rule to my future tenants as well, right? And for which tenants I'm willing to apply these rules, right? So I just clicking on this button so that if any tenant I'll be creating in the future, this particular rule will be applied to all the tenants, right? So I'm just clicking on this application button. So it is asking me whether I wanted to create the rule rejection rule on Microsoft or AWS. So I'll be just creating the rules for Microsoft as of now. And then it in the drop down here, you can see the log sources it is asking me. So we have multiple log sources on which you can create your detection rule. So I'm just going to create on this maybe Active Directory log, right? And then what are the conditions you wanted to generate the events on, right? So it is asking me to write a PPL query. This is just a basic PPL query. If you don't know anything about, it will just auto suggest you everything, right? If I just type in here where, and then it has started showing the auto suggestion part. If you don't know about it, it will just help you to create the your query as well. So I'll be just clicking on this operation is equal to, and then
Okay. Meanwhile, Aswin is writing PPL. This rule
Mhm.
creation is completely optional. You don't have to
Yes,
create anything because the rules which are coming out of the box is based on the research of our threat hunting team. Based on the growing threat vectors and everything, we keep updating those rules. We keep adding more rules. We are updating rules. So this rule interface is just brought if you want something which is of your own interest, or if you have some kind of things, then only you can utilize this rule creation strings. Otherwise, completely optional. As a kind
right.
of user, you don't need to worry about this one. If you are if you do not know what this is, and you do not know how to write a rule, don't worry about that. That's not for you there. Go ahead, Ashwin.
Right, so we have multiple queries, I think 150 or something for the default we are providing. So your work will be done within that only. If you just wish to create your own, you can follow this step, I'm sorry, right? So once you have done your people query, just need to put in the threat indicator info for with which name you wanted the events to generate threat indicators. What will be the severity of them? What will be the event category of them, right? Everything. So just in test threat indicator, the severity will be medium. Event category, what you wanted to show. So just cloud, and provide in some tags from which you wanted to search for this particular rule later in the time. I'm just going to,
Okay, that's good. At least it gives an idea that how to create the rules. Let's yeah, move to the next one.
and you can just schedule it for the time you wanted to run, right? If you wanted to run every 15 minutes, you can schedule it for 15 minutes. Let's say you wanted to for 10 minutes, you can always choose that. And there is an option for data retrieval window. For this option will be used that every 10 minutes this particular rule will run background in the background, and this window will be used to fetch the data. Like if I've chosen 10 minutes, it will and suppose it's scheduled to run at 12:30, so it will fetch the data from 10:20 to 10:30, right? So that is how you can create the rule and just save it. So if you don't want to, we have multiple rules. You can always go and check it out. So let's just say this one is for user login success from outside approved location, right? Now it is saying that outside approved location. How does it know that you are outside approved location, right? Somewhere you need to feed the system that if I am outside, if someone is logging in from outside this particular outside location, just raise this event, right? So how can you just feed the system what is the approved location? To feed that, you just need to come in the administration section, and there is a screen called tenant profile, right? So as you can see, you can always go and choose from what is the approved country location, right? What is the domain of your choice? Like if you are getting any emails other than these domains, there will be an event triggered. We have already provided that detection rule already in the system, right? And same with the executive names as well. Like you might often get a phishing email with the name of your CEO and all. So always go and you can always go and configure that name here that you don't want to get any email with other than this name, right, and this domain. So you can always go and configure that. So this is all about the detection rule. Now let's talk about the what do you call it, the incident response. So you have already so once you have created the rule, it will start triggering every occurrence you have chosen, like 15 minutes or 10 minutes or 5 minutes, right? Then we have the incident response. Now you have got the threat indicators in your system. Now we want to, suppose you wanted to correlate those events and generate some alerts based on that, right? So how can you do that? So for that we have incident response. So we have already provided 4 or 5 incident response from out of the box, but if you wish to create any more, you can always go and create it. Let's just edit this one only and let's talk about it. What does it do? So as you can see, the name suggests that this is for suspicious login successes after multiple failures, right? So this is based on the Microsoft, and we have also supporting Azure, so you can also go and choose that. So in the condition, you can see what is the rules it is expecting and on which it will be correlating the events, right? So you can see here, it is the first events on which it will trigger, like it is for user login failure. And how many occurrences of user login failure it will see? It will see if the user login failure has occurred 5 times in the interval of 15 minutes. So sorry, 15 hours, right? So if there are 5 login failures in the 15-hour window, and then there is one user login success in the same time period, it is going to start the correlation and rule and then trigger the alert. Now you also might see this is the another option we are providing here, the delay, right? So what does it do? So to explain more about the delay feature, I have just drew a simple diagram. So let's suppose in a normal 15-minute window, if the correlation like incident response has scheduled to run on 10 p.m. So it is going to fetch data from 9:45 to 10 a.m. 10, right? For the normal 15-minute window. But if you have introduced suppose a 4 minutes delay, so what it will do? It will just shift the entire window like 4 minutes in the past, right? So now it will fetch 9:41 to 9:56 with a 4-minute delay, right? So it's doing nothing but shifting all the time window just that much in the past, right? So this might come handy in the different use cases as well. So you might use it. Then yeah. So once these events has been found in the system, like 5 occurrences of login failure, 1 occurrence of login successes, then what it will do, it will just correlate this expression what we have written here, like rule 1 dot additional info client country is same as rule 2 dot additional info client country, meaning the login success and login failure has come from the same client country location, or the R1 dot client public IP is same as R2 dot client public IP, meaning the login failure and login success are from the same client public IP. So this expression, if both the system finds both the events, all the occurrences it has find, and this expression is true, then what it will do, it will just do an action. What is the action? It will just create an alert. You can find all the alert details in the here in the this section. This will be the alert name. The severity will be major. You can always go and choose what will be the severity, be it critical, be it major, right? And the alert message you can see here. So we supported handlebar here. So all these you can see in the those brackets will be replaced with the actual event type name and client public IP, right? I will show you. We have few alerts with the same condition, right? So and last we have the schedule, like in which time you wanted to just run this incident response, right? So if always on, it means it will be running in every 5 minutes. You can also go and choose the specific time you wanted to, like every 15 minutes or so, or you can turn it off as well if you don't want to generate any more alert, right? So this is, I think, all about the correlation rule. And also, if you find
What
it
about the
very
action? Sunny, what about the action
yeah,
more
yeah,
than
I'm just coming
create
on that.
alert?
Yeah, just coming on that.